Good morning, everyone. Are we ready to begin? Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a warm welcome here for BCD for our media launch for our deaf ambassadors. During this week, we are celebrating International Week for the Deaf, and that is happening worldwide. So I will share some deaf knowledge about you so that you will understand. So 2022, Building Inclusive Communities will be the theme for this week of activities. Now today is going to be a special day for BCD at this media launch. It's the first time that some of our deaf have world experience for work. If you look around this morning, you will see a lot of people. You will see the Honorable Colin Jordan, Minister of Labor, Social and the Third Sector. He's right here in the front sitting. Ms. Carrie-Ann Eiffel, she's the president here at Barbados Council for the Disabled. Samantha Hazelwood. She works as PRO at NPC. That's National Petroleum Corporation. And we have specially invited persons here as well who are supporting our cause. So now we're going to go right ahead. Like I said, I want to give you a warm welcome, and I'm going to ask Ms. Carrie-Ann Eiffel to come and share some brief comments, and there will be an interpreter here for you as well. Thank you.
Mr. Colin Jordan, Minister of Labor. So nice I have to do it twice, so let's start here. Honorable Colin Jordan, Minister of Labor, Social Justice and the Third Sector. Mr. John Hollingsworth, Director of the National Disabilities Unit. Deaf Ambassador Partners, Deaf Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning. Good morning. As President of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome you back to Harambee House. I say welcome you back because over the past 2.5 years, we have been unable to host such a gathering here, and we all know why. I will not speak the dreaded word today. But it is indeed a pleasure to be here with you today, not only because it's one of the first times we've been able to host such a gathering again, but more importantly, because of why we are here. When I was a child, I went to school at the then School for the Deaf and Blind. I have many friends among the deaf community. I've grown up with them for many years. And it has always saddened me that members of the deaf community remain outside of everyday Barbadian life in a way that most other persons with disabilities are not excluded. And so BCD continued over the years to find different methods to support and encourage the deaf. Today marks the start of yet another opportunity to empower our members who are deaf. Today, it is also my pleasure and privilege to thank everyone. We're doing our vote of thanks slightly different today. And why are we doing it that way? Because we are truly humbled and grateful by the support, by the outpouring, by the warmth that we have received, that we wanted to thank you from the beginning. So let me start. I want to thank or to affiliated organizations who, along with BCD staff, spearhead the Deaf Ambassador Project during this International Week of the Deaf. They are the Deaf Heart Project, one of our newest members, and the Barbados Deaf Horizon Charity, a transform and transforming agent for the deaf in Barbados. Secondly, I wish to thank all of our partners, Deaf Ambassador partners, National Petroleum Corporation, who was the first to take on board Deaf Ambassadors some years ago. Merlin Beach, the National Disabilities Unit, and now I'm about to show my age because the other two names have completely slipped my mind. But we thank all of you for so willingly and enthusiastically embracing the deaf community of Barbados. This marks the start of what we hope to become a truly transformative experience. I want to thank our deaf ambassadors, the deaf and the new term CODA, child of a deaf adult. I want to thank all of you for being brave, for being willing to go out there. The title of ambassador is not one to be taken lightly. It means that you are going forth into the world to change their minds, to be the voice, the face, the hands of the community that you serve. You're not just walking into a place to do a job. You're walking into a place to open up a future for others who live with deafness like yourselves. And so I want to thank you for being brave. I want to thank the media for your continued support of the initiatives and programs. We encourage you to continue to go out, to support, follow our deaf ambassadors, go where they are going, talk to the deaf community, find out what their struggles are and how they have overcome. Often we forget that the sign language interpreters, they're not merely persons, objects standing there waving their hands about. They are the medium, the voice for our deaf, and I want to thank you. She's not on my list, the list that she supplied me with, but I want to publicly acknowledge the selfless, total, absolute dedication and devotion of our operations manager, Rosanna Tudor, to the deaf community over the years and to this project. Along with our public relations officer and the directors of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, we've always wanted to find ways to support our members, especially our deaf community at this time. But Rosanna has taken it further. She has made it a part of her everyday, a part of a fight that she continues. Sometimes it feels almost a fight that she's taken on to do alone. But we know that by the representation in this room today, it isn't a fight that we're taking on by ourselves. It is a fight that all of you, by your presence here, indicate that you too recognize that we must embrace and empower. And that brings me to the last thank you of the morning. Thank you, Minister Jordan. Thank you for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to be here, to give remarks, to be a part of the change that we need in this country, in this region, and in this world, so that all citizens can contribute to our development. Barbados is not only important to the able-bodied. Barbados is where we all live. Barbados is where we all grow up, where we all strive to work, where we all raise our families, where we encounter our friends, where we live through our griefs and we live through our triumphs. And today, the launch of the Deaf Ambassador Project is another step for the Barbados Council for the Disabled to help you recognize that we, the disabled community, have a contribution to make. And with your support and assistance, we will transform Barbados to be the truly inclusive country that we all deserve. Thank you.
I'm sorry for that. We were trying to get the right spelling and the right name for the next person to come here. So just forgive us for that, so now we'll move on. So I want to thank Carrie Ann Eiffel, who recently gave that really good speech for this special day that we're having here. And yes, we need change so that people will accept us and include us into the community. So now an employer's perspective. Samantha, Erme, Hazelwood. We got the name right. It was turned around on the paper. She's a PRO. She's a PRO, the acting GM. Someone who was also supposed to be here, couldn't be here, but now she's going to take her place. So let's welcome Samantha as she comes.
Pleasant good morning to all present on this lovely, wet morning. I would like to acknowledge the Minister of Labour and Social Security and Third Sector, the Honourable Colin Garrison, the President of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, Ms. Carrie Ann Eiffel, specially invited guests, the media. I am, as stated, Samantha Hazelwood Erme, the Public Relations Officer at the National Petroleum Corporation. I bring greetings from our General Manager, Ms. Michelle Smith, who was unable to make it today. We like to think of the National Petroleum Corporation as a We like to think of the National Petroleum Corporation as a progressive statutory corporation that is breaking barriers and leading the way. As a utility company, we service persons from all segments. And that is a story for another time, because I know some will say that we don't service enough people, but I digress. We at the NPC believe in supporting a culture of diversity, and this allows us to have some level of insight into the world and the needs of the disabled community. We serve a cross-section of persons, and it would be prudent for us to share our community reach to include everyone. We acknowledge that disabled persons are not unable, and we believe in supporting those who can offer service no matter the physical limitation. We have a lovely employee by the name of Mom. She's one of our deaf ambassadors. She joined us as an intern, and a few months later, her work ethic, dedication, and tenacity saw her placed on staff. You will hear more about this when my colleague, Ms. Khadija Briggs, shares her experience working with Mom. Before I leave, I would just highlight that true inclusion is embracing differences. An inclusive workplace values all employees for the contribution and strength and makes them visible, not invisible. Thank you, and I would now invite Ms. Khadija Briggs to share her experience working with Mom.
As Samantha would have previously mentioned, my name is Khadija Briggs. I am the Acting Human Resources Officer at the National Petroleum Corporation. In 2019, the National Petroleum Corporation, recognizing the need to be a more inclusive organization, reached out to the Barbados Council of the Disabled to recommend an individual from the disabled community to join the NPC on an internship. The council recommended an individual who was hearing impaired and introduced us to Ms. Monway. Miss White was interviewed and was found to be well-spoken. Yes, because one can read lips and speak. Articulate and communicated effectively. Maud joined the HR and Administration Department.
She joined the
HR and Administrative Department, where she is still assigned in a primarily clerical function. Her tenure with the NPC was intended to be a 6-week period. However, the skills and personality displayed by Maud were so impressive that 3 years later, she is still with us. The NPC's experience with Maud has been rewarding. Maud has become a real asset to the organization as a whole, and we are proud to say that from the beginning. She has been fully embraced by the staff. Maud has become a go-to person at the NPC, whom is considered reliable, courteous, and helpful. As a mature person, she possesses experience and has certainly taught us a lot, not only about life in general, but about the ups and downs of a disabled person navigating everyday life in Barbados. Having had the experience of working with a person with a disability has been educational and insightful. Yes, there have been challenges, but also numerous teaching moments, as this was a new experience for us at the NPC as well. The experience has taught us what we have done right, made mistakes, and certainly where we need to improve in our engagement of this community. It has certainly made us more considerate of how we interact and function in society, and reminded those of us who often forget that this world is made up of the able and differently abled. Having had this experience, we at the NPC highly recommend and would encourage more of corporate Barbados to engage and embrace the disabled community within your organizations. While they are differently able, they are most definitely able. Thank you very much. And I would like to say personally, it has been an honor to work with Maud. I have even been able to learn some sign language. Whenever I forget, she always reminds me. And okay, so every morning this is my routine. I come in and I tell Maud good morning. I say, how are you? And then I know this is thank you and you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm still learning, but it's a great experience. Thank you very much.
So I want to thank Samantha and Alicia for coming up here and giving their short experiences. So they talked about Maud, and Maud showed them some signs, and that's really, I'm really proud. You don't need to be nervous, you know, as you learn more and more and you become more bold, you know, you'll see part of that culture is that we are willing to show you, and you know, NPC has a deaf person working there, so we thank you for that, and we thank you for coming this morning. So the next person to come now is none other than the same Maud White, who works at NPC. You heard about her, well, 2 or 3 people talk about her now. So now, she's been working there for a while. We know COVID struck and the world struggled with a lot, but we're still here. And now we understand the reason why a lot of things have happened, but now we want to show you how we can be more inclusive, like our theme says, and so Maud is going to come up here and sign Well Bonnie Voices for her. So you can welcome Maud now. Honorable Minister of Labour, Mr. Colin Jordan, President of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, Carrie-Ann Eiffel, invited guests, deaf ambassadors, the media, good morning. The World Federation of the Deaf announced that the final week of September, the full week of September, would be recognized as International Week of the Deaf. This year, the week started on the 19th and concludes on the 25th of September. The theme for this year is building inclusive communities for all. As part of our activities and celebrations this week, BCD started their fully accessible Barbados for Deaf Ambassadors program. That means deaf persons would be working with businesses and show how dependable they are, and they will work with the deaf people and see how they do and the businesses that they attend as well, and to see the successes. Truly, I'm very happy and honored and to be in that environment. To show all the things that we as deaf people can do and help in our creative environment and accepting deaf people for who we are. For example, when I first went to NPC, there were posts all over the company about how to interact with a deaf person like me. And there's small things like that. You know, if they wanted me, they could tap me on the back. There was no need to shout behind my head because I wouldn't hear them. Speaking clearly so I could read their lips and understand. Those were some things. If you were wearing a mask, you just to pull it down so that I would be able to read. There were also two different signs that were posted on the board. One was hi, and it really made me feel welcome to be working there. Another way you can make your environment accessible for deaf people is by relaying important information for them in a way that is clear. For example, some deaf can read lips, others can't. Some can understand written English, standard English, others not too well. Some depend on sign language and interpreters. The key really is to find out the best way and the best method to communicate with a deaf person and to find out the best fit. Another example. When we have staff meetings, when you're hiring deaf staff, make sure you have an interpreter at the initial meeting to make sure that all the information is relayed and that all the staff members are informed so that they can get the information the same time as the other hearing staff, and if they have any questions that they need to ask, it can be answered in that environment. We at MPC do have staff meetings, but my friend Khadijah, she always messages me the information. Not necessarily word for word, but she summarizes things and makes sure that she gives me the point. And that way is fine with me. Because I think if you can say something in 10 words, you don't need 25 words to say it. Some staff members at MPC also have learned a few signs. Simple things like, good morning, how are you? Things like that. As my friend Khadijah said, when you come in and you sign good morning every morning. And it gives you an opportunity to learn sign language, simple things, so that you could communicate with your deaf friends. I love that you've made an effort to learn the language, to learn my language. It's easy and it's fun. and it makes good for long-term friendships. And it makes it easy for that environment, having a deaf person there and making them feel welcome. And that is doing your part in building an inclusive society for all. When you welcome deaf people, you will be accepting someone who is loyal to you and who is willing to help and improve your business. And you're also giving a deaf person the opportunity to make their own money, support their family, and live independent lives. It really is a win-win situation for all. Everyone benefits. The last set of information I want to give you is that Friday, September 23rd, is International Day for Sign Languages. The theme for that day is Sign Language Unites Us All. And I would like to challenge all of you here today to learn those 3 easy and simple signs and to make a video so that we can post it on Facebook and Instagram as well. Please join me in signing it now. So everyone can put everything on your hands. So this is the first sign for sign. The second sign is language. So 2 L's, and then you're bringing them out like this. And then you lock your fingers like this, and go back and forth, unites us all. So let's do that one more time. Sign, language, unites us all. Thank you. Let's applaud Maud again. And by the way, this is the way we applaud. Why do we do that? Because that people can't hear that noise you make when you put your hands together. So you put your both hands in the air like this, and that's a sign for applause. So I want to thank Maud White for coming up here and explaining all those points that she made. Remember this Friday, the challenge, International Day for Sign Languages. So we hope that you practice a lot more before you make your video. You know, be proud, don't make a shame, go ahead, so that we can see that you made the effort. Great. Okay, so next, the next person to come here now will be the Honorable Minister of Labor, Mr. Colin Jordan. And he will come right now while Bonnie interprets for all of you. Thank you. I just want to make sure that I say this, that he is responsible for, equality of everyone in the workforce, and, to make sure that there are no barriers as well for deaf persons or persons within the deaf community. And that everyone follows the labor laws. So please, everyone, please give a warm welcome to the Minister, Mr. Colin Jordan.
I should have asked to speak before Miss White. Besides being a hard act to follow, she said something that ministers and persons like myself may not like to hear, and that is what you can say in 10 words. You don't need to use 20 words. Ms. Carrie-Ann Eiffel, President of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, Ms. Samantha Hazelwood Ermey, representing the National Petroleum Corporation, Mr. John Hollingsworth, Director of the National Disabilities Unit, Ms. White, Ms. Maud White, Permanent Deaf Ambassador at the National Petroleum Corporation, 2022 Deaf Ambassadors, specially invited guests, media professionals, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all, good morning to you.
Good morning.
On behalf of the Ministry of Labour, Social Security and the Third Sector, I express my genuine appreciation for the opportunity to deliver a feature of remarks as you and all of us celebrate International Week for the Deaf 2022 under the theme, Building Inclusive Communities for All. The Deaf Ambassadors Project excites me, and I'll speak to that a little bit later. I note that the initiative is part of Fully Accessible Barbados, a concept and an agenda, or my term, an agenda, for which I've had a significant passion ever since I was made aware of it a couple of decades ago. Barbados became a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities on July 19, 2007. And we actually ratified the convention on February 27, 2013. The purpose of the convention is to promote, protect, and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms by all persons with disabilities, and to promote respect for their inherent dignity. On August 5, 2020, we were able to have Parliament pass the Employment Prevention of Discrimination Act 2020. This act prohibits persons from discrimination related to employment. It includes at Section 3, subsection 2, a legal protection against discrimination on the grounds of disability. This represents, in some respect, government's statement of our view that our country must be for all of us. I should also inform you that the Congress of Trade Unions and Associations of Barbados, CTUSAB, has developed a draft code of practice for workers with disabilities. This draft code has its genesis in the International Labour Convention 111, which is titled Discrimination, Employment and Occupation. And this was ratified by Barbados in October of 1974. It provides for the establishment of a framework to manage disability issues in the workplace based on communication and awareness. The document is currently with the Labour Department for comment. More recently, the government of Barbados has created the National Advisory Committee to guide the establishment of a commission for improving the lives of persons with disabilities. All of you, I believe, are aware of that committee and its work. It is chaired by Mr. Edmund Hinkson. It is tasked with developing a policy and legislation which will protect the rights and dignity of persons with disabilities. And you're of course very familiar with the fact that but our own as well. Miss Carrie-Ann Eiffel is not just yours. She is ours. Because we are all in this together. And she serves as deputy chair. Today, the advisory committee has held meetings with a number of stakeholder groups, including the Social Justice Committee and the Committee of Leaders of Faith-Based Organizations, as well as trade union organizations and other interest groups. Now, I specifically mentioned the Social Justice Committee because Carrie-Ann earlier spoke to this matter of justice, and one of the things that government did on assuming office, soon after assuming office, I think this was around 2019, was to establish the Social Justice Committee. And the Social Justice Committee has representation from the Barbados Council for the Disabled, and it is tasked with ensuring that Barbados allows all Barbadians to participate. Not just persons who feel that they're able, but all persons, regardless of ability, status, social class, gender, regardless of all those markers, the Social Justice Committee keeps in the forefront of our minds that all persons are to be considered when crafting and developing government policy. The town hall meetings of the advisory committee have started, and I'd like to use the opportunity to encourage all persons who have not yet made their views known, allow their perspectives to be heard, to be part of the process, so that when the advisory committee finalizes its report, it can benefit, well, it can have the benefit of the input of all of us who have a vested interest, particularly in this important matter. Now, the objective of the project we launched today, the objectives are to encourage hearing persons to interact with deaf persons and to heighten our collective awareness to the fact that our deaf citizens can also contribute to economic development and indeed want to contribute through involvement as productive workers once they're given the opportunity and once employers make reasonable accommodations. These objectives are critical. There are those employers who do not reach out or act because they simply are not aware. And at this point, I have said this before in other fora, but I really want to thank Ms. Ross Jackson, who was the one really responsible for opening that part of my brain some years ago through an invitation to a program called Enter My World. And that allowed me to spend a day really absorbing what it meant to live, and this was in a very limited space, but to live as a person with a disability. And I've never been able to forget it. It has impacted. And I use that as an example of the whole matter of building awareness. We cannot make assumptions that persons know. Awareness building must be a continuous exercise, and it will take effort, because anything that you have to keep going at will take effort. But I encourage us never to tire of educating and sharing and encouraging the inclusion of persons with disabilities. I'm saying this not to persons with disabilities. I'm saying this to persons who are outside of the group we may consider persons with disabilities. Let us, those of us who have some exposure, experience, sensitivity, let us continue to build awareness to these matters. Encouraging hearing persons to interact with deaf persons is also critical to awareness building. Many avoid the unknown. Some fear the unknown. Recognizing the potential of deaf persons is only possible if there is interaction. That is the only way to know. That is how we become aware. Using this project for this purpose is effective as the workplace transcends social or family circles that may keep deaf persons away from hearing persons. Because we do spend quite a lot of our time at work. I'm told that Massey Supermarkets is a partner in the move to be an inclusive society and has embraced persons with disabilities by employing persons who are deaf or hearing impaired. Earlier I spoke to the provision of opportunities and the making of reasonable accommodation. Employers can make reasonable adjustments to workplaces to include deaf or hearing impaired persons. And we have heard from Maud how that can be done. I made a few points. I'm not going to repeat them because Maud says, do not take 20 words to say what can be done in 10. And she's already taken us through some of these. Deaf employees can become invaluable members of the worker force and can contribute to the company's overall success. Making reasonable adjustments to the workplace can promote workplace harmony, can increase productivity, and can create an enabling environment of employee loyalty, commitment, goodwill, and high morale. And I have to say to you that I share this not as a minister making a statement that could be considered aspirational, encouraging you, but I'm saying this based on my own experience. Having made a decision after becoming aware of the fully accessible Barbados program, having made a decision at that time in my life as an employer to hire a deaf person. It was helping to manage the Amaryllis resort at the time, and we hired a deaf lady as a room attendant. I was responsible for finance. I was also responsible for human resources. I mentioned those two because when I say to you that that decision was mutually beneficial, it is because it was not just doing, I don't even think it was doing a favor. It was doing the right thing. But it also made business sense. There was no loss from employing a deaf person. There was actually gain. And I sometimes hesitate to speak to the gain part because I prefer to focus on the fact that hiring persons with disabilities is just the right thing to do. But I will say that the lack of productivity that persons who consider themselves fully able, the lack of productivity from those persons who stand in the corridors and talk about everything, why they should be working, I did not have that challenge with the deaf employee who we hired. And so that's the reason why I say, however you look at it, it makes sense to include persons with disabilities in all of life, but particularly in the workplace. As we work to build a just society, we must remember that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. We have a responsibility to each other, to bring each other along. And we must also remember that disability is not inability. And I would also want to share something that I've heard along the way for those of us who consider ourselves able. Many of us, most of us, all of us may be one incident or one accident away from disability. Just think about how you, how I, how any of us would want to be treated if suddenly we lost the use of a limb or a sense, just like that. How would we want to be treated? I applaud the Barbados Council for the Disabled this morning for launching the fully accessible Barbados Deaf Ambassador Project. And I hope that it will be an effective tool in creating awareness of the capacity of persons with disabilities and will allow persons with disabilities to be full and effective participants in nation building. I thank you.
We want to thank the Honorable Minister Colin Jordan. It was really, really, really good. I gave him 100%. I want to talk a little bit about an experience I had in 2019. I started an internship at Flow. Yes, I worked in Swan Street. I worked there for 8 weeks and it was a really great experience. Many people, as you know, came to the store and they saw me and they realized I was deaf and, you know, my job was in sales. You know, I couldn't use the phone, you know, there were certain things I couldn't do, but, you know, when people came into the store, I greeted them. You know, it was smooth. It was nothing, just like how Maud is in her environment. You know, we don't need a whole set of words, just shorten it. Make sure that we get the point. It's just as simple as that. So I agree with the minister 100%. So now I want to tell you that deaf people can do anything, and they can do everything except hear. And as we have been able to show, we can do anything. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would ask Minister Jordan to come again so he can present certificates to our deaf ambassadors and the partners. So first, we want to invite the director from Skills and Talent at Fairmont Royal Pavillion, Miss Jerry-Ann Austin. And Soraya Howard is the deaf ambassador who works there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Soraya only just started working there. Very, very recent. So I hope she goes on and enjoys her 3 weeks there. So the next person would be from CBC. The manager is here from CBC, but a representative will come and accept the certificate. And the deaf ambassador who works there is Dario Nightingale, so you'll ask him to come as well. Why not?
Okay, the guy downstairs, I didn't see the camera, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so next, Trident. Well, it's Merlin Bay Villas. And that's in St. James. And Celeste Serrano. I'll ask her to come. And the deaf ambassador who works there is Kimberly Cochran. You're not applauding. No, we're not. So Kimberly has worked there for 3 weeks, and tomorrow's our last day. We'll wait and see. Only time will tell if you'll be able to continue and to have that extended. So now I would like to ask Mr. John Hollingsworth, Director of the National Disability Unit, to come and present, as we present him with this certificate.
Thank you very much.
And the person who is there is Wavy Reed Davis. So Wavy only just started at NDU as well. So now, the final person Debbie Taylor from HR was supposed to be here, and she's from Ansa McCal, but she wasn't able to come today. But we're going to ask Kevon Reed to come as he is the deaf ambassador who works at Ansa McCal. Thank you, Minister. So we want to thank all of you, and we want to thank Minister Jordan. So now we would like to show you a short video about Deaf Pride and Deaf Can. So I want you to join us as we show you this video right now before the end of our program.
Hey, my name is Kevon Reed. My work here is to wipe the vehicles and make them shiny and attractive to persons who come in to take a look. People who are deaf can do anything. They can do various kinds of work and have various skills. Just as I am here cleaning the vehicles, which show that I am capable of working, and people will see that and know that the deaf can do it. The aim is to help hearing persons gain more awareness and understanding of deaf persons. My name is Kimberly, and I am working at Merlin Bay, St. James. I am receiving training in folding towels, sheets, cleaning the rooms, and anything I can do. The deaf are capable, and I am good at doing that. Some other team members teach me how to do my job. It is something I can do because I use eye contact. I will love it. Hey, my name is Dario. I am deaf. I am here at CBC. What work am I doing? I am learning video editing. Also, I am working on TV broadcast programming. They are teaching me how to do that, but it is not easy. But at the moment, I am doing editing. I really love and enjoy learning to do this. Take a look. So you see, I've been learning to edit. Maybe the work is not finished and later I will do other kinds of work.
Wow, did you just see that? It was really, really great. And to see the journey that we are on as a deaf community here in Barbados. Now we want to say thanks to our deaf ambassador team for working so hard. We want to thank the interpreter for giving all the information. Carrie Ann said thanks at the beginning, so now we're going to close off. But I want to invite you to take part in some light refreshments afterwards, and I hope that you travel safely to your destinations. I'm your MC, Lionel Smith, and this has been your interpreter, Buddy Leon. Good afternoon.